Right, going to next one. In a clinical study comparing two surgical techniques, the researchers report a p-value of 0.01. What does this indicate? What does this indicate? So quick revision of the concept of p-value. What is p-value? P-value is the probability of type 1 error that can occur. It is the probability of type 1 error in a study that is being conducted, right? And what is the maximum probability of type 1 error? The maximum probability is given by the alpha value, which is generally taken as 0.05. So for a study, a research to be significant, this p-value, right, should be less than the maximum. So it is called significant if the p-value is less than alpha. That means the p-value should be less than 0.05. Okay, the p-value should be less than 0.05. So when I say it is type 1 error, type 1 error is true negative, true positive, false negative, false positive. What is it? Yes, 0.05 means 5%. Remember, an error is always a false result and type 1 error is false positive. Okay, do you remember the mnemonic for type 1 error and type 2 error? Type 1 is false positive, type 2 is false negative. How do you remember? P has one vertical line, N has two vertical lines. So 1 and 2. Again, the null hypothesis in type 1 error, is it true accepted, true rejected, false accepted? What do you remember? Yes? So remember it as true and false. How do you remember this is? True, T has one horizontal line, F has two horizontal lines, so 1 and 2. When I say true, remember it is TR, true rejected. When I say false, remember it is FA, false accepted. Okay, it is false accepted. Is this clear with everyone? A quick trick hai. Correct, you remember the trick. Okay. So, and remember the type 2 error, which is beta. And a type 2 error, which is beta. The type 2 error, which is beta, is what is related to the power of the study. The power of the study is given by 1 minus beta. Okay, for the power of the study should to be more, the beta should be less, the type 2 error should be less. Which is more dangerous? Correct. More dangerous is type 1 error. Okay. So look at the options here. There is a 1% chance of committing type 2 error. Is p-value related to type 2 error? No, it is type 1 error. The power of the study is 99%. No, power of the study is related to type 2 error, not type 1 error. So this is also out. Assuming the null hypothesis is true, there is a 1% chance of committing a type 1 error if we reject it. This is the correct statement, right? It is true rejected and 1% chance, 0.01, 1% chance of committing type 1 error. The probability of null hypothesis being true is 1%. This is this is not p-value ka definition. Okay? Probability of null hypothesis is what is not p-value. ठीक है, this is the chance of committing the type 1 error. Chance of committing the type 1 error. Is this clear with everyone? So null hypothesis true and rejected. Okay, null hypothesis is true and rejected. ठीक है? Clear with everyone? P-value, type 1 error, type 2 error, false positive, false negative, true rejected, false accepted. Okay? Going to the next question here. Which of the following techniques specifically utilizes a cleavage enzyme such as DNase to determine the exact nucleotide binding site of a protein on a DNA molecule? Have you solved any PYQ based on this topic? देखा है कोई PYQ DNA footprinting पे एक क्वेश्चन था. So this is how a PYQ can be modified. Yes. So there was this question of DNA footprinting. Which of the following technique is used for DNA protein interaction? ठीक है, DNA protein interaction. Next time you can get a question which is what are the different methods to see the DNA protein interaction? You have this EMSA test also, which is electrophoretic mobility shift assay. You have DNA footprinting also, and you have CHIP also. ELISA is not for the DNA protein interaction. CHIP is chromatin immunoprecipitation. ठीक है? So remember, these three techniques are used for DNA protein interaction. What is the difference in these? A quick review table here. So DNA footprinting, EMSA, and chromatin immunoprecipitation. This is for DNA protein interaction. Okay, DNA protein interaction. So remember that the advantage with DNA footprinting is it tells you the exact binding site. Okay, where is this protein exactly binding to which nucleotide in the DNA? Basically, in DNA footprinting, you get the results in the form of a ladder, and wherever the protein, the DNA and protein are bound, at that site, you get a gap. Okay? Why? Because what happens here is you are using a DNase enzyme, endonuclease, which will cleave the DNA, and wherever there is this DNA protein interaction which has happened, at that site the DNase will not be able to act. Okay? So there will be gap or blank spot in a sequence ladder. The DNA protein interaction site is going to be resistant to DNase ka action, right? That will be resistant to DNase action. Okay? So remember, this is in vitro, this is also in vitro. The technique which is done in vivo, in the living cells, where you can do is, CHIP is what is done for in vivo, in the living cells, and the rest of the two are in vitro. So what is DNA footprinting? So DNA footprinting, wherever there is DNA protein interaction, it leaves a footprint like a gap in the ladder that you get after cleaving that DNA with the DNase. Okay, so look at the question now. Which of the following techniques specifically utilizes a cleavage enzyme, DNase, to determine the exact nucleotide binding site of a protein on a DNA molecule? So that is what is DNA footprinting. Okay? Coming to the other one, which can be asked in your upcoming exam, EMSA, electrophoretic mobility shift assay. So this is where, understand the concept. A DNA without protein and a DNA with protein. A DNA with protein bound becomes heavy, right? The charge also changes. So the electrophoresis, the movement will get affected in electrophoresis. It will be slower moving as compared to the native DNA. So that is what is EMSA test, also for DNA protein interaction. So it will just tell you whether the binding is there or not there. It will not localize the binding. If the mobility is slow as compared to native DNA, that means there is DNA protein binding which has occurred. Okay? So the key reagents, you have the native page and specific antibody when you add DNA bound to protein, and to that protein you are adding to antibody. So then that becomes a super shift assay. Okay, that becomes more specific. It definitely tells you that yes, the slow movement is because of the protein binding, because the antibody will bind to the protein only. So there is a shift on the gel electrophoresis. The page that you have, the gel electrophoresis is what you do here, and you see that the movement is slow. Is this clear with everyone? So remember that DNA bound to protein will have slow movement on electrophoresis. So it just tells you whether binding is there or not. So the resolution is low. DNA footprinting is high because it tells you the exact site. Then comes CHIP. The most important point for CHIP you should remember is it is in vivo, in the living cells. Okay? So it maps in vivo genomic binding locations, right? It is medium resolution. What do we use here is formaldehyde is basically used to create the covalent bonds between the DNA and that protein that you are looking at. Okay? So formaldehyde is used here. And then you have the sequencing tools, like you have the CHIP sequencing, which is also there. Okay. And so the result metric is the enriched DNA sequences. That means the one where the covalent modification has taken place, or the sequencing reads. Okay. So remember that chromatin immunoprecipitation is in the living cell, the chromatin of the living cell. Right? Clear with everyone? If you get a question on this, which is very much, may come in your exam. So please remember this points, and DNA footprinting gives you the exact site in the DNA where the protein is binding.